As a young man, if you cannot walk away from anybody or anything, that means that thing basically owns you. It means you are too attached. You see, we live in a world where young men are heavily manipulated simply because they are too attached to a woman, some company, maybe some gadgets. And think about it. If you cannot walk away, that thing ultimately controls you. And the aim of this video is to make sure that you embrace the idea of detachment and fully welcome it, because we live in a world where the moment men speak about detachment, they label it toxic because they know that the men who wake up these days are men who no longer want to be controlled. So they get you to stop you by calling it toxic. My guy, I'm telling you the truth. There is nothing toxic about what? Detachment basically makes you as healthy as possible. And think about it. A quick story before I get into this, right? A husband and wife went to a zoo, and then the wife saw this male monkey rubbing and petting the head of what, a female monkey, and she was like, that is love. She was amazed. She looked at her husband. The husband smirked. I said, okay, no problem, it's love. They got to the lion section. The female lion was at a distance from the male lion, and the female lion was in front, the male lion was at the back, just chilling under the hot sun. And the woman was like, that male lion must be what? He must be a loser. Why would he allow the female lion just be on her own? Husband says, no problem. So the husband picks a stone and throws it at the female lion. The moment the stone touches the ground, the male lion charges at the people. Now the zookeepers have to push people away from the lion because the male lion is already aggravated. Now he takes her back to the monkey section. He throws a stone at the female monkey. Guess what happens? The male monkey runs so fast. He runs faster than the female monkey. And he's like, that's the whole idea of love. You see, if you can be detached, you'll be able to think with clarity and you have that inner security in yourself. But guess what? Women will make this society these days will make sure that you, as a young man, you don't have that detachment because they want to keep controlling you. So a few problems with what with being attached is one, control. That thing that you're attached to basically controls you. If you cannot get rid of your phone for 2 days, for 7 days, for a month, that thing basically controls you. If you cannot sit down on your own without friends, basically they control you. Think about it. If you have ever been in a situation where you've asked yourself, if I lose this girl, will I find somebody else? That thought alone basically means that they already control you, right? They already control you and they determine where your life is going to head. So be careful about it too. You see, manipulation comes in different directions because this topic of manipulation is what they were doing to young men for what? 30 years now. Since the idea of feminism, it has been manipulation back to back. So how do they manipulate you? They use things like what? Love. You see, this topic of love, right? The irony is that it is men that love, women don't love. Women love you based on what you can do. Men love partly, unconditionally. Sometimes stupidity though. So when the woman knows that you are deeply in love with her, you become a tool for manipulation. Now, I basically told you that story about the monkey and the lion intentionally to show you the kind of love that is different. One love feels interesting now, but is basically vulnerable to any problem. So what that means is the feminine is not comfortable in the masculine. But for the lions, the female knows that if anything happens, the male lion is there. He may not be there rubbing my head, but when I need him the most, he's going to show up. And this is where women that genuinely love you for who you are, but then again, you have to become something of yourself. I will never be here to gaslight you and tell you, no, just be who you are and a woman will follow you. That's a lie. It doesn't happen. You do this by what? Leveling up yourself and women will come after you. Through judgment. You see, when you are attached to people or ideas, you end up judging them. Guess what? You judge them so that you feel good about yourself. The moment that thing changes, your identity feels threatened. That is why I say that in this life, if you ever want to be free, don't judge people, right? That because when you're attached to people, when you're attached to ideas and people, you want to make sure those people and those ideas are the way they are, because if they change, it makes you look stupid. It bruises your ego. And in the process, guess what? You attach to your ego. You look stupid. So guess what? Being attached keeps you what? Keeps you, you're always judging people. 4 is dominance. Because when you attach to people and ideas, you will try your possible best to keep people in that situation. So what happens? You will try to dominate them. You will try to put your power over them. But guess what? That will only force you to try to control things that are outside your power. You see, speaking of that, right? I remember different stories about. Let me give you one about a woman who I was a girl who I was with recently, who I met her through a friend. We started connecting because of ideas and stuff. So we became friends and we started to do things that were more than friends. You get sex and all. I began to notice that her sex was coming with some crazy demands, of which I was not following through. At some point, she gave up and she quit. All of a sudden, I told my guy that, because I was with the guy recently, later, a couple of months after I left this girl. And he's like, okay, what's up? How is she doing? What's going on? I'm like, I've left her alone because she just feels very, very manipulative. And she said, oh, yes, she's manipulative. And I'm wondering, like, wait, you felt like you didn't tell me that. He's like, oh, he didn't know that was important. I'm like, oh, then he hits me up with the excuse of he realized it too late. I'm like, brother, I'm not really offended with you, but the point is, that idea of wanting to control people, the worst part is that there are people who can't control themselves, but they're trying the possible best to control other people. Do you know how crazy it is? You cannot control yourself, but you are trying your possible best to control other people because it feeds your ego, it feeds your identity. Now, what in your life right now as a young man, where do you think all of this pressure comes from? Where do you think attachment comes from a lot? A few problems are one. FOMO, fear of missing out. And this happens a lot if you consume a lot of social media highlights. You see, social media is not a real place. Social media is a place where people only show you a glimpse of their reality. When shit hits the fan, they don't even think about social media. Only a very few that probably cause drama to get public pity. But for majority of the people who you are praising on social media, one thing you should realize is that, trust me, when shit hits the fan, they never put it on social media. They don't even think it exists. So one thing you should realize is, one, you are not missing out on shit. Now think about it. If you basically scroll on social media long enough, you get to realize that these are people living their individual lives, showing you just highlights. You are the one putting the pressure on yourself because you are attached to the idea that, you know what, I want people to feel like my life is good. You don't have to make people feel shit about you. Second problem is trauma. Sometimes, again, I've noticed the women who I have been with, who have been trying their possible best to control me, I've noticed that they've always had these daddy issues. This is not the situation where I'm like insulting them or laughing at them because I don't say anything. Is that, for one, she was the last born and dad always gave her attention and that was no more. So guess what? She wanted me to fill that space of giving her all that attention. I'm saying, hey, no, I'm sorry. You have a very nice character, but I don't think it's cut out for me, right? The other one, just I don't want to call her name, so it will be like I'm casting her. The first guy I was referring to, I always noticed that whenever we were talking, right, she kept on talking about how her dad did this to her. So I started looking back and realizing that, okay, hold on. Your dad did all this to you, so what's my business? Why don't you heal your trauma so you don't try to you stop trying to dominate me completely? I mean, like, go and dominate other guys because some guys who have trauma, who have what? Mommy problems. Sometimes this trauma can be what? Mommy problems, mother attachment. You will see them, by the way, I have to make a video on how guys have to become, how guys need to fix all their traumas in their 20s, max. By 75, fix most of their traumas. Some guys have never gotten rid of this mother bond. Their brains are still stuck there. So guess what? These guys are targets for women to follow. If a woman realizes that you're going through all that mommyhood trauma, don't worry, you're an easy target. All she has to do is basically fill that void. Speaking of that, I also have female friends. I have a female friend who, she likes to play the mother role for guys. So all of the guys she's been with, she'll be the one doing the motherly things like checking up on them, making sure that they do some basic stuff, making sure these guys have basic hygiene. Look at how bad young men are today. And my goal is to basically tell a lot of young men to wake up. Hey, by the way, if you like what you're hearing in this video, share with as many guys as possible. That referral helps the channel to grow and makes me realize that I'm helping more men than I can right now. 3, judge. Why? It's because, like I said, you like to judge people. And when you judge people, guess what? It makes you feel good about yourself. And you want to feel good about yourself, so you keep judging people over and over and over again. I tell you something that, this thing about judgment, you see, if you don't know how to apply judgment, you're going to have a problem in life as a man. And as a man, all of your thinking comes because you have good judgment. It's basic. When it comes to judgment, I tell people, don't judge people, but be judgmental. I think I'll discuss that in different videos. I don't want to digress because there are stories to go on that. Benefit of what? Being detached. 1, clarity. You see, the whole idea of attachment is that you like this idea so much that you're not willing to let it go. You like this person so much that you're not willing to let it go. If it's a person, that person will do some stupid, dumb shit. Because you are too attached to that person, you will let things slide. You would let things slide easily just because you are attached to that person. Nigga, you have to stop it. Two is intuition. You see, a lot of men, one of your best gifts you can have as a man, basically, is intuition. Bro, the moment you begin to experience what intuition is, the idea that have you ever seen soldiers talk about how they were in the battlefield? They could detect something was somewhere and they went after it. Or how have you ever seen a dog play with its intuition? I'm thinking of, have you ever seen a situation where you can't explain how the guy experienced it, how the guy felt it, but he got it done basically? Because sometimes I can look at intuition will help you to read people's character the moment you meet them. You can basically walk into people's lives and know what is going on just by having that intuition of experiencing people at their rawest form. Intuition, but you can never have intuition when you're too attached because it's going to, it's going to cloud that judgment. It's going to be your judgment is going to be foggy. You can't see things clearly too. You become a better man basically. You are thinking proper judgment. On the other hand, you are victim free because think about it. Most victims are attached to the identity of them being victims. That's just it. Like it's a very sad reality. It's very fucked up. You see, because victims hold that idea that, oh, you know what, I'm a victim, and then they want to embrace that identity, but they want to begin to detach. You begin to see things clearly that no, you're not a victim. Some things may have happened to you repeatedly, but you are not a victim. And that reminds me of this meme I saw. The meme says, before enlightenment, you see a shoe pressed on a child's face, and everyone's like, wow, take the shoe off, stop stepping on the child's leg. But after enlightenment, the picture zooms out and discovers that the shoe is just there on the child's face, and there is nobody, there's no leg on the shoe. What that means is, however the shoe got there, we don't know. But that child has everything in his hands to take that shoe away from his face. It's the same thing because the moment you become detached, what happens is you become, if you're a victim right now, you begin to realize that you can no longer be a victim. Number five, habits free. You see, the habits are our best friends, at the same time our worst enemies. Like Warren Buffett says, it's easy to build habits until the point where they're very difficult to break. So habits, especially these days where the young guys these days, you most likely have like bad habits. I'm sorry, but thanks to what social media, thanks to a lot of dopamine activities, we all have lots of bad habits. But guess what? The moment you begin to detach, it becomes easy to break free from those habits. Because why? You can think clearly and you can basically know what you can use to replace your bad habits. And again, you are less attached to your current habits. 4, 6, less entitled. One problem I have seen with young men these days that make them feel bitchy as fuck is the fact that they are fucking entitled. They are fucking entitled. They say things like, oh, and this is where nice guy syndrome comes in. Nice guy. Nice guy. When they say, oh, after all I did for her, she didn't give me a listening ear. So fuck what? You see, one reality is that this is why I love stoicism. You can work on a business for years. It may not be successful, right? And guess what? You might die without it being successful. But guess what? When you have the idea that when you are enjoying the journey, it becomes different. Now, speaking of nice guys do things simply because it's for them. It's not because they want to help the person. So whenever I see a nice guy talk about how much he has done for her, I'm telling you that guy, you did all that for her. So fuck what? It's not guaranteed. You can be the richest man in the world with the best body. Does not mean that girls must follow you. This is why I say that stoicism is the best solution for men. So let me provide stoicism there because all these things come up as I talk. I basically rated my last solution as the first. The first one is what? Zoom out. So how do you become detached? Learn to pause and zoom out. Because the whole idea is that most people are wrapped up in their thought processes that they can't even look at the bigger picture. They can't have the ability to zoom out. And let me tell you something. One thing I'm grateful for is being able to hold leadership positions in different communities because one thing I can guarantee is those leadership positions made me realize that most people see things using a wrong lens. Basically, they see things using the lens of what the people who are down there. But if you've ever been in a leadership position, when you're looking up at the real data, you get to realize that it's a different reality. This is why being able to pause and zoom out can make you realize that all arguments are basically not worth it. If you can see both sides of the story, right? So when you pause, again, you do this. it will not happen overnight, but a habit that will get you here is meditation. Meditation. Because the more you meditate, the more you can take out some stupid thoughts that are in your head. Two is, if you should be obsessed about the journey. You see, as a young man, you have two options. Either you are obsessed or you are distracted. You can't be both. You see, but now the problem now is a lot of people are so obsessed about the goal. Guess what? I can tell you the goal may never happen. But if you're obsessed about the journey and doing it for yourself, because as a man, your joy comes when you're leveling up as a man. Your joy comes as you're making more money, as you're becoming more fit, becoming more healthy, as you're becoming more confident, as you're gaining more. Your happiness comes from there. But guess what? Some people do these things so they can become dominant over other people. That is not what should be the case. As a man, do these things, be obsessed about your mission, your vision. Be obsessed about the journey, because when you're obsessed about the journey, it is very difficult for you to be distracted. Right? Again, it's your journey. What that means is, the more you're obsessed about it, guess what? It becomes clearer for you to you get clarity and intuition better, and become a better man. This is some self-improvement hack sheet we're referring to here. Then three, embrace solitude. A lot of people don't realize that lonely phase you're afraid of, is basically a blessing. You see, I was even going to say vacuum. Let me write vacuum there. Sorry. And that benefit is what? Should be another benefit. Vacuum. So yes, solitude will basically help you with zooming out. It allows you room to sit down and think about what that's causing your problems exactly. So you can ask, okay, fine, I'm afraid of letting this girl go. Okay, why? Well, because, okay, why? And I'll tell you something, that question why is super powerful. And you can only ask this question why when you're on your own. Right? Just seek and you shall. Keep asking yourself questions, but this happens best when you're in solitude. You are alone in that room. Four, stoicism. You see, stoicism has been heavily abused these days for social media trends, right? But stoicism will simply just help you become. Stoicism means that you are so grounded in your principles and you are not moved by what's what's that word? Spontaneous emotions. Because you know deep down these emotions come and go, but because you are principled, right? And principles can be anything. It basically helps you, and this is where, like I said, people get to manipulate you when you're not stoic, because when you're stoic, you believe that you control your thoughts. When you're stoical, feelings and action, because you are all these things, because you are principled. There's nothing more to stoicism. Nothing more. You're principled. So because you're principled, it's easy for you to control your thoughts, feelings, and actions. But guess what? They don't want you to know this. Simply because they want to keep controlling you. The more you are attached. You see, what makes attachment worse is this is you here. See, this is you here. Right? And then you are being attached to multiple things. Today you're attached to a girl, you're attached to your phone, you're attached to your job, you're attached to a fixed routine. At some point you'll be drained. You'll get to the end. You see, the more attached you are, the more regrets you're going to have. Take it from me. Because most of these attachments are not intentional. Again, when you are detached, guess what happens? Okay, so I wrote vacuum here. Why I wrote vacuum here was because whenever that thing you are afraid of losing, take it from me. Whenever you're afraid of losing something, just know that, just have this idea that with faith, something better always comes. Speaking of that, I have a story of a friend. Right? So this is what a friend that I think I gave a funny advice from a conversations, and this is why I love the conversation style. He was dating this girl, super interesting, super lively, a baddie. And then this babe was always giving him headache and problems. He's like, if I let her go, I'm not sure I can get a woman that's better. I said, guy, hold on. Don't worry. So he let the baddie go. Magically, a few months later, he got introduced to like a different lady, right? She's beautiful, she's attractive, she's calm, but guess what? She's not so exciting. And discussing with me, I always have a theory since I was young that boring people are not so bad, right? If somebody is not trying to addict you, as a man, if a woman is not trying to control you or addict you, at least that is a win. So long story short is he hit it off, and After he got married to her, they're married for about 6 to 8 months now, and we saw later, he's like, guy, that advice of marrying her, even though you're not super, what's that word? What's that? Is that super addicted? Is that word? That's it. No, that's not what he said, but that's what it meant. Even though you're not super addicted to her, it completely changed everything. Because now he's saying that this particular woman is a way better option because she's quiet here, but she gets things done. Like the other one, she will literally, the house will need something, maybe like some dishes, some certain items in the house. She would wait for him to come back, and he will bring the money, and for her to go and get every stuff. Basically, putting too many responsibilities on him. But this other woman was basically, she was quiet. She was taking up initiative. You see, so to him now is he did not see that loss as a win. So one thing you should realize is that when you have faith, you get to realize that there are really no losses. I'm not entirely sure I told my guy's story well. Maybe because it's not my story, and me and him just see once in a while, or we see. But basically, it's maybe once or twice a year or something. But forget. But we see for like 2 or 3 days. So that's basically it. The whole idea was that I don't even know why it's a ball. I just felt like a ball today might be different, just add some vibe to it. And so yes, your agenda is that there's basically no reason. There is zero benefit for you being attached. The only benefit I think I've seen people be attached is it helps them to avoid responsibility. Hold on. Problem is it makes you to what? Avoid responsibility for yourself, or avoid responsibility for yourself. Is the only reason I see why people can be attached. Now, I wrote this 48 laws of power, law 11, because it says, if you want, 48 laws of power says that if you want to have power over people, keep them dependent on you. I'll tell you something. That is basically a manipulation tactic that's used to basically have control over other people. Now, is it good? Is it bad? Is a topic for another day. That's it for today. I don't want to keep talking for too long. My name is Tonore. I basically create content to help young men find their space in life so that they don't get what? Attached. They don't go through all these problems. They're not controlled. They are not manipulated. They don't judge anyhow. They're not being dominated. And guess what? They can take responsibility for their own life. Right? My name is so that's what I basically do. I dedicate content so that young men can win in a society where people are happy. People have made it their life mission to put young men down. So thank you very much. Talk to you soon. And bye for now.